Drop it on them random.
What up, y'all? Welcome to another edition of That Time in Hip Hop, a podcast about the history, nostalgia, but more importantly, the preservation of hip hop music and culture. I am your host, Vegas of Hip Hop Now podcast. With me, as always, the homie Tony from IntoTheDome.com. What's good, man?
Yo, everything is good, man. Tonight, Fortnite Brewing Company Blonde Ale is what I'm drinking. Generally, it's either water or some cayenne and ginger or something healthy, but tonight I just want a nice little brew, man. You know, salute.
I'm gonna put Fortnite spelled the other way in the hashtag so we can blow this video up like crazy. Like, yo, he was drinking Fortnite. What do you want? But yo, if you're watching this for the first time, you know, well, first of all, if you're watching this for the 32nd time or whatever, if you watched all the episodes, we appreciate you. Keep subscribing. If you've already subscribed, keep hitting that like button, keep commenting, and keep sharing with other people, because then we get the new people like you who come through and like what we're doing. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you do the same. We appreciate you coming through, man, because we're trying to spread this thing around. We got enough episodes there for you to get your binge on. Quick note, you know what I'm saying? There was rumors in the news that Jay Electronica might be releasing an album with and we did a whole show on Jay Electronica. So do we believe that's going to happen? I don't know. Yeah, yeah, man. Just Jay, shut up. The other Jay. We're gonna talk about the other Jay later. That one. But we get into a part of the show where we like to talk about what happened this week in hip hop. And this week in hip hop, if I could get my notes right, March 18th, 1983, the hip hop movie Wild Style was released in theaters. Now, if you're saying to yourself, what the hell is that movie? Well, it was literally a movie about hip hop culture. Now, you had movies back in the 80s that kind of focused heavy on breakdancing or focused heavy on rapping or breakdancing and graffiti. And some of them had all the elements in there, but kind of leaned one way or the other. Whereas this one felt like, you know, like if you watch the Get Down on Netflix, Wild Style was the Get Down before the Get Down. It felt like you were tapping into the streets and what was happening there. And a lot of dopeness. Fab Five Freddy was spearheaded that. He just wasn't your MTV Raps. Very dope movie about hip hop culture. Just even though I haven't seen it in a while, it still has an effect on me, and I could see how it could have effect on somebody who wasn't even around. Because when you hear these stories of when hip hop started, how it started, the 5 elements and all of that, you watch this, man, it's like pulling out an Elder Scroll of hip hop. It's just like absorbing what that time is. Tone, Wild Style, 1983. Did you see it when it came out? Did you see it later? What are your thoughts upon this classic hip hop movie?
Yeah, man. You know, I saw it again, 1983. And you know, I'm like 8, 9 years old. You know what I'm saying? But so I saw it during that time, but I didn't appreciate it, of course, until like the late 80s, when I could kind of, you know what I'm saying, grasp it and understand all the elements of hip hop. But yeah, for any young hip hop enthusiast right now, if you haven't seen Wild Style, then yes, the Rocksteady Crew, Fab Five Freddy, just all these different legendary names, they're a part of the movie and a part of the movement. So yes, please, you know, do the knowledge on that. But yeah, I was real young, but then, you know, mid to late 80s, I grew to understand it and appreciate it. And looking back at it now, you know, it's a pillar in hip hop. You know what I'm saying? So for anyone listening to the podcast tonight, please make sure you take a listen, and also, or take a look rather, also understand that Fab Five Freddy is a very important piece of hip hop. Don't think of him as just MTV and things of that nature. Go back and watch Wild Style and do your research on Fab Five Freddy, because he loves the culture. He's part of the culture. He's one of the early guys who pushed the hip hop to the forefront, you know, as much as he could. But yeah, the movie, of course, shows MCing and breakdance and graffiti all of the beautiful things that you love about hip hop. And also, if you're a Nas fan and appreciate Illmatic, if you listen to the intro of Illmatic, because people think Illmatic is this long album, it's really a short album.
Yeah.
It's really an EP, damn near. I mean, it's 9 songs on Illmatic because the intro is a piece from Wild Style. And you'll hear the train tracks, you know what I'm saying, the New York lifestyle, and you'll hear the guy who was talking to his brother on Wild Style said, man, you just sitting at home doing this shit? You should earn a medal. Stop effing around and be a man. You know what I'm saying? And if you remember the intro of Illmatic, it's from Wild Style, and then it goes into like Young Nas, then he goes right into the New York State of Mind. I think that it's very important because people look at Illmatic like this pillar in hip hop and hip hop Bible, and to think of Nas' mentality using Wild Style, him and the producers, and they're saying, or they're using rather, that scene, you're sitting home doing this shit. It's like Nas sitting home writing rhymes, and you're looking at him like, so this is what you're doing, right? And he's like, yeah, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And excuse me, and it goes into New York State of Mind. But as far as the movie, please go see it. In terms of pulling it up, you can watch it on YouTube. You can watch it on, Fire Stick. I hate to say that, but you can. Yeah, it's definitely one of the more important. When you think of 90s documentaries like The Show and Rhyme and Reason and all of this stuff, that's cool. But go back to the essence, go back to the beginning, because Wild Style predates breaking and Beat Street and everything. As far as I remember. So you need to go to the essence, man. And so if you really want to see where the culture started and where it is right now, it's a good start, babe, for people to go watch Wild Style.
Yeah, for those who want to know, maybe want to collect it. The name of the record that was used in the intro for Illmatic, the intro was called Genesis, I believe. But the name of the record was called Subway Theme. I tried to get a producer to make a beat out of it back in the day so I could spit over it, and just couldn't. He made some fast shit. I don't remember, but nevertheless, man, a very classic, almost forgotten movie sometimes in the hip hop space, as far as hip hop movies go, especially movies that are just straight about the culture, which I think it happens because it came out such a long time ago, and now, like Tone said, like people like Nas and Jay-Z are like looked at as the pillar of old school, as if there wasn't anyone or anything before them. And I guess another dope tidbit was when Nas decided to use that as a part of that, or Nas and Primo started to use that as a intro to Illmatic, it was literally almost 10 years later. Because I believe Illmatic came out, what, 94, I think?
Yep, 94.
Yeah, so it was unexpected, you know what I'm saying? Because hip hop was very different at that time, and to draw that connection on that album just says, if you call yourself a hip hop fan, and we're not gonna take points for you not being born at a certain time, obviously, you definitely need to go and check Wild Style, because it is a nice snapshot into what hip hop was back then. I mean, they got MC battles, all kinds of stuff popping off. So check that out, man. 1983. Now we get into the main topic at hand, and if looking back there, we're gonna talk about something that happened in the hip hop game that's kind of been a trend in the hip hop game, unfortunately, for a number of record labels that rose to prominence. But Tone, tell the people what we here to talk about today, man.
Yeah, man. Today we're gonna talk about the rise and fall of Roc-a-Fella Records.
Damn.
And when we think of business, let me just give some listeners, maybe some young listeners, a little game on business. I'm a business manager in my company. I've been a business manager or director at several companies in my lifetime, and to start a business and to maintain a business and to maintain a partnership is very hard work, because you're dealing with money, first of all, which is finance, and you're dealing with personalities and ideologies. And if the things don't blend and mix, you're going to have some turmoil. It doesn't matter any aspect of business, doesn't matter the type of business. most businesses start and you expect it to last a lifetime, but that's not the reality. If a business lasts 2 to 3 years, that's almost seen as success.
Mm-hmm.
And that means maybe your business model worked, maybe it didn't. You know, when I look at Roc-a-Fella Records, Jay-Z started, early on rhyming with Big Daddy Kane and with Jaz-O and eventually with Original Flavor. And truthfully, he just wasn't getting the buzz like some of your prominent MCs who came right out was golden childs like Rakim and Nas and your KRS-Ones and all those guys. Jay-Z had to struggle and be a hype man and etc. But he was smart enough to say, you know what, these record companies keep overlooking me. We keep getting dissed. You got Dame Dash here. You got a silent guy like Biggs who said, let's all put our money together, try to go through Priority Records, try to start our own label. You know what I mean? And they did that. You know what I'm saying? You have 3 different guys in Biggs, Dame, and Jay-Z with 3 different personalities, but they did come together at the beginning to get this thing started, and they made some legendary moves with Roc-a-Fella Records. But at the same time, eventually you had the turmoil that comes in most businesses, and you try to sustain. And truthfully, a lot of people don't know that Roc-a-Fella Records stayed in business technically for 24 years.
Yeah.
So people think it was short, but it was 1995 to 2013.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Now, that being said, from 94-ish, the essence of Roc-a-Fella to 95 to about 2003 was their stronghold on hip hop. And we'll get into some of the details with that. Now, from 2004 to 2013, there was a lot of moves being made, and the separation was going on during that entire time. And actually started doing Fade to Black and the Black Album.
Mm-hmm.
That's when it really kind of started hitting the fan with how Jay-Z started to, I want to say, pull back. I think that in business, sometimes you look at it like, okay, we've came far as we can come. We made a lot of money together, but our vision and what we see for the future is totally different. And I think that's the reason why Roc-a-Fella fell. At some point, all 3 of these guys started looking at the future differently. You know what I mean? And for Jay-Z, it's like, I want to become a mogul. I want to be on that Fortune 500 list by myself because I'm the artist. You know what I mean? And I think at some point that became his focus. I think Dame had his own vision of where he wanted to continue to take Roc-a-Fella because he had most of the ideas and other side ventures that we'll talk about tonight. And then Biggs is like, you know what? I put my funds up. I'm riding with he probably was somewhat stuck in the middle of what Dame was trying to do and what Jay-Z was trying to do. So that makes it hard because you got it's like 3 brothers, and I'm trying to ride with both. But at some point, we know everything's going to come to a head, man. So, for you, what do you think about Roc-a-Fella, man? And as far as starting, and kind of, did you see anything that would made you think like, okay, it's a good thing, but at some point it's going to come to an end?
Well, let's start here and let me ask you this question as a start.
Okay.
When was like the first time you caught wind of Roc-a-Fella Records? At like not just Jay-Z, but like knowing that Jay-Z was a part of what was Roc-a-Fella Records. Like, was it a song, or did you overhear something, or what?
Well, I mean, I was up on Jay-Z before Reasonable Doubt, but obviously when I heard Reasonable Doubt, you start hearing the Roc-a-Fella shout outs throughout the album. And then, back then, Vag, when you bought albums in the 90s, you would open it up and read the credits. You know what I'm saying? So we opening up and reading the credits. I saw the Roc-a-Fella symbol, and I'm like, okay, that's Roc-a-Fella Records. You know what I'm saying? And then I saw Priority, I believe, on there as well, on the Reasonable Doubt. So I'm like, okay, well, they have their own little thing going with Priority Records, I guess, distributing the music, but they're Roc-a-Fella. And I know at some point they went with Def Jam, and we'll get into all of that. But it was really during Reasonable Doubt because obviously I had heard Hawaiian Sophie and all that. I had heard Can I Get Open, with Original Flavor. I had heard the joint he did with Kane and ODB and all of those guys. So I had heard of Jay-Z, but as far as Roc-a-Fella, it was when I heard Reasonable Doubt and read the credits. I'm like, okay, they got their own thing going. That's when I first heard it.
Yeah, for me, I think when because I heard all the same stuff you heard before Reasonable Doubt. But when Can't Knock the Hustle, well, not Can't Knock the Hustle, when Dead Presidents, before it had a video and I heard it, that's when I like kind of heard. I don't know if it was like something I read in the source or somewhere else where I started to see Roc-a-Fella attached to Jay-Z, because I always remember Jay-Z from Hawaiian Sophie. I always remembered him from Original Flavor and the Big Daddy Kane joint. And then obviously, what's the joint with him on the boat and all that? I can't remember now.
In My Lifetime.
In My Lifetime.
In My Lifetime and In My Lifetime remix.
Yeah, like I remembered him from all of that. So when he started saying like Roc-a-Fella Records, because I kept thinking like, dang, this dude has kind of been popping in and out of hip hop, but like, where is he? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what label is he on? Like, and why isn't he signed? If I'm seeing this video here and there all the time, like, who is he with? You know what I'm saying? And then when I would hear Roc-a-Fella Records, my first thought is like, well, who the hell is that? Because you looking for the Def Jam connection, maybe kind of looking for like, or maybe to be on Bad Boy or Columbia or Rough House or whatever. And I think like when I saw a couple of the videos, the early videos before, everything really popped off for them, including Dead Presidents, that's when I felt like, oh, something about the situation is different, because they're not really coming with a label behind them that make you feel like, oh, they have them. Okay, it's going to be straight. And even the Priority thing kind of had me feeling different, because I always associated that with like Ice Cube and everybody else. So I always looked at that like, wait, ain't that a West Coast thing? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't used to hearing somebody being on Priority, or I didn't pay attention to it, put it that way, because I believe Run DMC was on Priority at some point, I believe.
I think it was Profile.
Profile. They were on Profile. But Profile. I actually have the original, not the Def Jam remix, the original Jay-Z Priority Records. Let me see. Right there, Priority Records says Roc-a-Fella Records. You can't really see it, but it also says Freeze Records. And this, for some people who don't know, Def Jam, when they signed their deal with Def Jam reissued this album. But that's one of the differences. There's no Def Jam on here whatsoever. And then the other one is the fact that the CD, if you got the Def Jam version, it's a picture of Jay-Z on the CD. But the original joint has a little, little something right there, and then the ground, and it's kind of blurred out, so let you know that this is straight from when it dropped in what year was that? 96, 95?
Yeah, summer 96.
Summer 96. I believe the back cover is different too. I think it's Jay, Dame, and Biggs on the
That's right. It is
Def Jam joint, right?
Yep.
But yeah, because again, like Tone said, we were already up on. We was waiting for Jay-Z to come. And one other little story that I told before, and this is just to kind of give people context of what Roc-a-Fella was when this debuted album was out. I remember right before this came out, and I also have that in a box somewhere. I just would have to find it. But there was this store in Brooklyn called Beach Street. It was a record store. It was like a big record store. Everybody would go there usually to get their music. A lot of artists would come there and sign autographs, DJs or whatever. It was, it was lit, as the young kids say. But I remember going there, and I would go there all the time to buy music. And this kid rolled up on me and was like, yo, you want that new Jay-Z? And I didn't really understand him, because I heard of Jay-Z before, but he wasn't a household name. So if somebody randomly says it to you, you're not thinking about, the Jay-Z, In My Lifetime video. So I just was like, whatever. And he gave me the tape. And I remember it's a Reasonable Doubt sampler. This is before the album came out. And it's two songs on there that didn't make Reasonable Doubt, but you heard the rhymes before because I believe Jay-Z put them on other songs. And I just remember listening to that joint saying, damn, this is a dude from Can I Get Open?
Yep.
Like, this sounds crazy. Like, Can't Knock the Hustle snippet was on there. I think a little bit of Can I Live was on there. 22 Twos was on there. I have it in here. I should have went and dug in the boxes and got it for y'all, but whatever. But it was one of those moments where it felt like something was coming down the pipe. You know what I'm saying? Because he wasn't going away. And like Tone said, man, they got to a point where, you know, they cut this deal with Priority and Freeze Records, and they went to Def Jam. And then, you know, as you know, Tone, it turned into something else. Now, when, you know, you have Reasonable Doubt, and obviously there's a turning point for Roc-a-Fella Records, not just Jay-Z got a hit with Ain't No Nigga, but eventually Biggie gets murdered. And Jay-Z kind of steps into that spotlight because he was similar in some ways. You know, a dude who can make party records who could also spit, which was exactly what Big was. What did you think once, or what was the moment that you felt like Roc-a-Fella, like Bad Boy and Def Jam before it, was the new label? What was that moment? What was that? Was it a Jay-Z album? Was it other artists coming onto the label? What was that moment for you when you knew Roc-a-Fella was a label to be reckoned with?
So for me, you know, you have this Reasonable Doubt as this underground hip hop classic for me. It was amazing lyrically, production, everything. You had Biggie on Brooklyn's Finest. So I'm like, okay, he's causing some noise. Biggie passed away and he does Volume 1. And it's like, okay, there's some mixed reviews with it, but I heard that spitting on Volume 1, and then he was bold enough to say, the city is mine. So I was kind of like, okay, well, you know, for me at the time, I was still riding How Nas It Was Written, you know what I'm saying, a couple other 96 classics. So I was kind of like, yeah, dude, it's nice, though. So let's not get it twisted. And Volume 1 to me was like, I still feel like you take out three songs maybe out of 14, and it's amazing. And then, you know, he came back with the Streets Is Watching soundtrack and little movies whatever. So I'm like, okay, well, he's still grinding. But what happened when I heard Hard Knock Life, Volume 2? Then I said, you know what? He a certified star. Roc-a-Fella Records is not going nowhere because he is the face of it in terms of music. You know, it ended up selling 5 million copies. So I said, with the Hard Knock Life Volume 2, I was like, he actually is the #1 MC in the world at that time, along with splitting that with DMX, because DMX had 2 platinum albums in 1 year. And I remember going to the concert, that tour they had in '98 when DMX and Jay-Z was headlining. So they were running rapping. So I'm like, okay, well, they're not going anywhere. So then when I went to the concert, I saw how they brought out Benny Siegel. Memphis Bleak was there. A lot of their affiliate acts was there. And I was like, okay, so they building on something. So for me, when Volume 2 dropped, you can't deny 5 million records being sold. So it's like, okay, he's certified. He's right there on par with DMX as far as like the faces of New York rap at the time. So then I was like, Roc-a-Fella is, you know, it's like that. And that went on. My same mentality stayed with Volume 3, Sean Carter, and the Dynasty album in 2000. I'm like, okay, well, dude is just, you know, by the time the Blueprint came, he was running hip hop. You know what I'm saying? So that's when you really know between Volume 2 and Blueprint 1, Jay-Z could not lose. Like he said, I will not lose 6, 7 straight summers, yada, yada, yada. That's when it's like Roc-a-Fella for real. And then Dame Dash at that time started moving into like, you know, at some point the Roc-a-Fella, like the Rock-aware and the rock films, you know, and the wine, the liquor, and what have you. So that's when it's like, these dudes are for real.
Yeah. I felt the same way. I felt like after Big died, you know, there was this kind of like void somewhat, but then it was like, oh, Jay-Z's still here. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you kind of wake up from your misery of knowing Big's gone and feeling like you're not gonna, you know, I'm pretty sure people would prefer you just be alive. but also thinking about the music, feeling like, man, he left a big hole in music, not being here. But then I felt like you, in between that first, volume into the Hard Knock Life album, right in between there, Jay-Z was burning up the features. He was burning up the mixtapes with freestyles. Like, he was building like a lyrical legacy before he even got to Hard Knock Life. So when Hard Knock Life came out, it was just like, oh, and you're gonna have a commercial successful album with all these features and all these dope records and sell the most you ever sold. And I started to feel that way about Jay-Z, but not so much about Roc-a-Fella, because it felt like at one point it was Jay-Z was so big, and the only one that was at least somewhat close to his status was Bleak at the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, as far as feeling like, well, what's the roster? Because, honestly, if we're going to talk about labels, we got to talk about the rosters. And, there's some of those rosters from them legendary labels. There's a reason why we talk about them. You know what I'm saying? But like you said, it wasn't until he signed Beanie Siegel and started picking up other people that it was like, oh, the Roc-a-Fella ain't just Jay-Z. And, eventually it got to a point where, like you said, man, Jay was in a zone. He was dropping an album every year, and every time the single came out, it was a hit. He had singles on singles. I mean, even the stuff like we mentioned in another podcast, like So Ghetto would just get burned on the radio. And that's like just straight boom bap record. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was.
Right? It'll be, right next to not Put Your Hands Up. What's the other joint that they took from the Go-Go Band? I can't remember. It's on the S. Carter joint, the 1 a.m. all the shit, that joint. But
in the club,
that joint with Beanie Siegel and the Mill.
And the Mill,
But to be able to have something that's like a party record and have a street record, and both of them almost damn near get equal airplay on urban radio stations, was just showing it was amazing. And like you said, it started to branch off into the films. They had Armadale Liquor, they had Rockaware, the clothing line.
Go ahead. And again, like you said, at one point Jay-Z was just the face, but once State Property started really popping off and Beanie Siegel dropped The Truth around like 2000, people was like, yo, Beanie Siegel is something special. He reminded, some fans of Scarface. You know what I'm saying? And he could go deep, like What Your Life Like, or he could do some thug shit too. So people really started feeling Siegel. And then when Freeway came, man, Freeway had a lot of energy, man. Some people had to get used to his voice, with his passion and ear for beats, and just the way he loved hip hop. You had to appreciate Freeway. And of course, at some point, after State Property blew up, and then Dame, brought in the Dipset because of his relationship growing up as a Harlem dude with Cameron, that just kind of took Roc-a-Fella, even though a lot of tension started at this time, and we'll get into some of that. At one point, you had Jay-Z still dropping classic material. You had the State Property and Siegel and Freeway and Petey Crack and Oshkino and Sparks, whatever. Then you had the Dipset. Eventually became very huge in New York and East Coast, with Cameron, Jewels, and Jim Jones, and they started putting classic street joints out and everything like that. And Cam and I already, had a career because, again, Mace brought him to Biggie at one point, and Biggie was gonna sign Cameron, and then, before Biggie died, Biggie had planned on doing a commission with Jay-Z and Charlie Baltimore and a few other people. So, there was a connection there as well. You know what I'm saying? So I guess that Jay-Z didn't mind initially, maybe, with Cameron, because Biggie was feeling Cam and stuff like that. So, but of course, when you have a lot of strong personalities, at some point, that's when Roc-a-Fella started having a lot of internal tension, because you have, situations.
Before we go there, that just one point I wanted to make about, record labels and rosters. Also, they had another element. Eventually, they had another element that most of the most successful hip hop labels have had is a production team. You know, Bad Boy had their team, you know, giving them R&B and hip hop hits.
Yeah, the Hitman.
People, just, you know, Cash Money had like everybody kind of had their team, and you know, Roc-a-Fella had Just Blaze, they had Kanye. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they kind of had Ski Beats a little bit, I guess, if you count.
And they had a cat from Virginia called Beats.
Yep, exactly. So they were becoming one of those big labels, and like Tone said, they became a point where the Cameron thing happened, but that's kind of the catalyst for this whole show, because Tone, as you can elaborate on, the Cameron signing was something that Jay-Z wasn't cool with initially, but he tried to work with it.
Right. And I think that's because, again, you have these strong personalities. Cam didn't come in like, yo, I'm just happy to be here. You know what I'm saying? Like, Cam was coming from, he had Confessions of Fire already. He had the SDE album already. You know, he had a couple of joints on the radio and BET before Roc-a-Fella. You know what I'm saying? I think he had some label issues, and Dame helped him get out of the label situation and brought him to Roc-a-Fella, and Cam wanted to bring his crew. And, you know, his crew obviously are people who Jim Jones was like, not Jim Jones, excuse me, Dame Dash looking at like, these my little mans too. So, I mean, I'm going to bring the whole clique, you know, and I think that at some point, Jay-Z and Cam might have been some tension there. But obviously, if you have three partners and one partner decide to elevate an artist to a senior management position, and don't consult with the other guys, you're about to have a major problem. And I think the rise and the fall of the tension with Roc-a-Fella, you know, was when Cameron went on the radio station and basically said, yeah, I didn't want to say nothing, but yeah, I'm the new vice president of Roc-a-Fella Records. Now, if Jay-Z in France somewhere with his lady, and he finds out like, yo, Dame done made Cam the vice president of Roc-a-Fella Records, he like, yo, you ain't consult with me. We all partners, you know, 33, 34% apiece. You don't make that kind of decision without consulting with me, dog. You know what I'm saying? And me being a businessman and in my real life, I know that I'm in meetings and I'm like, yeah, that ain't the way it works. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't just make something, unless you're the CEO, 100% owner. If you're not that, you don't just make a decision without the approval of your team or the board or things of that nature. So I think that was kind of like, well, yeah, when Jay-Z got home, he corrected that. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, that's not going to happen. I ain't signing off on that. You know what I'm saying? And I think that was the beginning right there of it's kind of like, I do believe that even during that time before that, there was other issues, because there's rumors that even though no one loves Roc-a-Fella more than Dame Dash, and Dame pushed Jay at the beginning and got him out there battling DMX and Big L, just get him in the streets and taking them to all these labels, and they getting turned down. Nobody loved Roc-a-Fella more than Dame Dash. Don't get me wrong. You know, so he believed. That's why Jay-Z said on the Blueprint, on that Mama Loves Me or something, Dame believed. You know what I'm saying? And even on my first song on the Black album, he even was like, yeah, Dame, remember we used to pay for the videos with our own money and used to write with your, you know, effed up handwriting and all that shit like that, whatever. So Dame was all in. But because of his ambition, sometimes he started going off doing other projects, pulling money. Allegedly, this is what people start talking about, from the Roc-a-Fella pot for side projects without consulting with Big and Jay. You know what I'm saying? And that was some of the tension, I believe, that really got real behind closed doors. And Benny Siegel and Petey Crack, if you guys YouTube Benny Siegel and Petey Crack talking about Roc-a-Fella, you know, and talking about just kind of why the split started happening, both of them kind of alluded to those were some of the first beginnings when they started seeing the writing on the wall.
Yeah, I could believe that, because like even what you said about the whole Cameron becoming vice president, I remember Jay-Z saying in like an interview that, you know, it's not that it was about Cameron or getting it or Cameron himself. It was about the fact that you didn't even consider Bleak when he's been here. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He was here because look, when Jay-Z said this thing, I could testify to it because Jay-Z performed several times down in Baltimore during the Reasonable Doubt days. And you know that Lexus, you know what I'm saying? I believe they probably traveled in that joint. Like, you know what I'm saying? With the whole crew and that in a van. But I remember Bleak was always there. You know what I'm saying? He was there at the humble beginnings when, you know, I remember going to a show that had Jay-Z and Foxy at a club on a tiny ass stage when Ain't No Nigga was out and Reasonable Doubt was just around the corner, and it wasn't packed. Why? Because there was another party where Buster was performing and that was packed, but Put Your Hands Where My Eyes Can See was out. So, but Bleak was there. So to have all these years and reach all the success with Bleak kind of being your number two as far as MCing go, and you sign a new guy, and not only is he skipping over Bleak, but he's skipping over Beanie, who was there before him. So, you know, it caused a lot of tension. Oh, wait.
Yeah, you know.
Plus, let's not forget, he also just got ethered not too long before this happened, so he wasn't in a good mood. So.
No, he was. Yeah, he wasn't in a good mood because you were in a very tense battle with the other guy that you actually looked up to at some point. Was one of the guys that you referenced in a lot of your music before that, which is Nas, of course. So you have the Nas and Jay-Z battle, which was very, very personal and very, very intense on both ends. So yeah, you did that to me as far as like you're gonna bring in Cameron and try to promote them, and of course I got Bleak here. I got hip hop here. I got Tata here. I got my people here too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we need to vote on who we feel like would be, you know, the best choice to be in that position. So, you know, Dang Royalty to Harlem kind of helped break them up, you know, and then also during that time, and again, I was watching Vlad TV. Shout out to Vlad for the interview with Petey Crack. You know, Petey Crack was talking about, look, man, you know, Dame Dash at some point had burned a lot of bridges, you know, and Jay-Z looking at the future, and Jay-Z kind of want to start growing and moving differently and moving in other directions. And Siegel said the same thing, and other Roc-a-Fella artists, you know, was talking about, you know, Jay was probably looking at the big picture, like, you know what, we made money together, we did all we could do, but now I want to get into some other things, and have some other doors open for me. Dame is abrasive. Dame definitely helped get Roc-a-Fella to where it was at that time. If it wasn't for him, they would have never got to that point. I give you that. But in the middle of all of that, he made a lot of enemies in the industry. So Jay-Z was not going to be able to be the Fortune 500 mogul. Jay-Z at some point wasn't going to be in the White House with Obama and Michelle because Dame ain't going to get to that point.
Yeah.
Because he was just too abrasive. And if you're looking at your future and what you're really trying to do, unfortunately, at some point, partnerships does end. All of them don't last forever like Walmart. You know what I'm saying? All of them, you know, that's just not a reality. At some point, we got each other as far as we could go. And I think that people didn't want to hear that. But, you know, again, Dame believed. Dame is the reason why Roc-a-Fella, the second half of their career in Roc-a-Fella, blew up. Because, for one, Kanye West is someone that Jay-Z totally ignored. Jay-Z didn't want to hear Kanye West rap. Dame believed in Kanye West the same way he believed in Jay-Z and said, look, man, I know you're a producer, but you want to rap, man, rap. You know what I'm saying? Put your stuff together. You know, so Dame helped push Kanye, and Kanye is an icon that whether you like him or not, but a lot of that is because of Dame. And recently you've seen a lot of pictures with him and Dame together. But at some point he went back to the person he felt like really supported him. You know what I'm saying? And that was Dame Dash. Dame Dash believed in state property. He believed in them getting their own clothing line. He believed in the Dipset. He wanted everyone around him to eat. It's just the way he executed some things alienated Roc-a-Fella from getting big deals with, let's say, a Disney and all of this stuff like that. He was not going to work with a lot of, you know, Fortune 500s because he still had that street element. He wanted to be abrasive and argue and do all that. So he shut these doors, and Jay-Z was kind of like, you know what? At some point, this shit is enough, man.
And I think you hit the nail right on the head, man. I think what Dame had to offer was a street hustle. And when we say street hustle, by no means are we downplaying his success or his business mind, but it was on a certain level. And Jay-Z knew that level, but he also knew there was a level above that that he wanted to play ball. And that's where he wanted to get. Like the line says on Reasonable Doubt, you know, I you know, you thumb through the source, I read the Rob Report. Like Jay-Z was always like the Stringer Bell type thinker, where it's like, yes, we do this street stuff so we can get this money, but not to just still be on the street, you know what I'm saying? And to Jay-Z, it was about being beyond rap. And for Dame, it felt like it was through rap and through entertainment only. And like you said, him being abrasive, you know, it's just certain people who are not going to do business with you. You know what I'm saying? And they have money and they have the money to invest in things you may want to do. And you know, obviously it didn't work out in those ways. And people have seen the video of Dame Dash, you know, his two occasions. You got the one where, you know, he's being abrasive with what's his name from Def Jam about the with Kevin Lyles in the I think that was the that's not
on
the show. Backstage joint where, you know, and he was right, but the way he's going about it is just aggressive, you know what I'm saying? Like where you feel like he's going to be physically aggressive with you. And then you had the other video that everybody saw where he's rolling up in the boardroom. And you know, and he's
that was right there.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and
that was it.
It showed us what Jay-Z had to deal with. You know what I'm saying? And I'm pretty sure there are people who wanted to do business with Jay, but knew they had to deal with Dame, and Jay made that off.
And one rumor, again, people can, you know, guys can listen in, can look this up. One rumor was Lil Cohen's kind of pulled Jay to the side, like, listen, man, you know, you could be so much more, but you kind of got some baggage with you. You know what I'm saying? And that baggage was Dame Dash. And to this day, Leo and Dame don't vibe. You know what I'm saying? They don't like each other. But see, Leo was looking at Jay like, yo, you can be the president of Def Jam, you can blow this, you can do that, you can market yourself different, but you know, you can't do it with the team you got right now. You know what I'm saying? And I think some of that started to resonate with Jay-Z. So when he pulled back, you know, when Dame went to that meeting that day, he wasn't invited to that meeting.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think Jay might have probably been on a conference call, but yeah, of course he wasn't on there when Dame barged up in there. But it was kind of like everybody was sitting around and Dame wilding. And that's when it's a humbling experience, because that's when I think he realized that he was so mad, but that's when I think he realized that, yo, this is probably over. I can't believe that they're having a meeting without me. You know, y'all don't talk to Jay without talking to me and all that stuff. And at that point, Jay was already telling people, you know, with business ventures, stuff like that, well, yo, I need to holler at Dame now. He can call me direct. You know what I'm saying? And when Jay started feeling like, yeah, you don't need to go through Dame no more, because at one point, stuff was going through Dame. You know what I'm saying? But Dame handled it the way he wanted to handle it. And by the time I got to Jay, it might have been some BS. So now at this point, Jay is like, nah, y'all call me direct. You know what I'm saying? And that was the beginning of the end. You know what I'm saying? And it's unfortunate on one end, because maybe something could have got worked out. You know what I'm saying? But Jay-Z's a very calculated individual. He never show his hand when he playing cards. Dame show his whole hand. He don't care. You know what I'm saying? And at some point, that's not going to work. And again, you looking at it like, dog, you already pulling money from our pot. I'm the artist. You know what I'm saying? I'm the face. And I'm tired of splitting this shit 3 ways on some real shit. You know what I'm saying? So that's a factor as well.
Like he said on Kingdom Come, man, you know, dudes try to say they made Hove, make another Hove. And that's true, because at the end of the day, I don't think Jay ever forgot or regretted, you know, the rise with, you know, Roc-a-Fella Records and what they did as a team to become what they became. But he had aspirations to be bigger than that, you know what I'm saying? And Dame was just loose, you know what I'm saying? He was just really loose with it, and he was just believing in the hype so much that he just just started to just do what he wanted to do, and unfortunately, it led to that. So what?
And let me say,
Yeah, go ahead.
one more side note. This is kind of way side. Maybe I'm reaching right here, but I do want to say this. Do you also think, Vague, that there was potentially some tension with Jay and Dame over Aaliyah? Now, on the reason why I'm saying this is because there was a lot of rumors that Jay was dealing with Aaliyah first. And if you look at some of these pictures on the internet of Jay-Z and Aaliyah, some of those poses, some of the way he got his hand around her and stuff like that, it looks a little intimate, man. And did they have something? Did at some point the Dame started dating her? And of course, Dame, before she passed away in that the plane accident, was engaged to her. So I'm wondering, was there some tension there in regard to Aaliyah with Jay and Dame? I always wondered about that because there's some pictures online of Jay and Aaliyah at several events, and they look like they're more than friends, if I'm just being honest.
I could believe that because, like you said, I saw some of them pictures also, and it obviously it's just photos, but it doesn't just look like random taking pictures together. And, let's not forget, like, Beyonce wasn't no grown 30-something woman when he met her. You know what I'm saying? So he obviously, like, I'm a little bit younger than himself. Not R. Kelly young, but you know what I mean.
Right.
But nevertheless, I could see that because you got one dude who, is very self-conscious and, is really into image and, I will not lose and the city is mine and all that. And that's Jay-Z for real. His lyrics, that's him. You know what I'm saying? And then you have Dame, a dude who you can't tell him anything. So imagine, when you have a woman in between that, and I could see where, whether it was Jay or whoever, they took the high road and they didn't let it spill out because obviously they probably felt like it'll be a problem with business. But nevertheless, if Dame felt comfortable enough to not only sign Cameron without Jay-Z's input and make him vice president, like, I don't put none of that past that situation. I think Jay-Z was like, somebody's going to die. If we keep going to this point, we're going to fight and something's going to happen. So it is just better if I go out quietly.
But you know what, though? It ended up being a lot more tension at the end because if you remember, Jay-Z, when they decided they were gonna, disperse and do their own thing, Jay-Z's big thing at the time was, I just want the masters to reasonable doubt. You know what I'm saying? Like, all I want is reasonable doubt. Y'all can have Roc-a-Fella, Roc-a-World, y'all can have all of this stuff. And Dame and Biggs did not want to agree because they're like, that's our baby, but they weren't getting the point. Jay-Z is the artist.
Yeah.
So all he's doing there, like, I know y'all help do whatever we do on the business end, but I'm the MC. I wrote Dead Presidents Cannot Live, Bring It On, yada, yada, yada. You know what I'm saying? This is my baby. Y'all can have everything else. This is my baby. So what they messed up on when Jay-Z ended up being the president of Roc-a-Fella, Def Jam, he flipped the deal and he basically got every damn thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So they screwed up. He felt like they screwed him. So he screwed them cats in the end. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what? How about this then? I'm gonna get the masters all this shit. You know what I'm saying? Because all I wanted was reasonable doubt. But now y'all make it where I'm gonna get all my music and I'm gonna damn sell my parts to some Russians or something like that, and I'm gonna get paid. You know what I'm saying? So
that's crazy when you think about
it.
That's crazy when you think about it because, like we said, for a long time in Roc-a-Fella's run, even when they was hot, even when this album was out, that was the cash cow. That was the driving force, Jay-Z. So to not have the masters to that music, because when it's all said and done, you see it with other artists who are deceased and stuff like that. The music is still valuable because it's a hit, whether it's going to commercials or, a song becomes popular again years later, whatever the case may be, sometimes it's good to hold on to them joints and for them to, get caught up in that and feel like, oh, well, we don't have no stake anymore and Jay has it all, you know, that's on them. But them dudes were distracted, man. And
And you
again,
know what, too?
street
And
level
you know,
business. It
yeah,
all
you know what? Jay-Z ended up showing why he was kind of a little hustler on the streets. He understand how to maneuver and move a little different. He ended up getting them cats nice, as opposed to, let's say, for example, when Dr. Dre decided he was going to leave Death Row and leave Suge Knight, he signed away all his music. You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? So yeah, of course he went to Aftermath and he did all his things or whatever. He discovered all of these other acts, you know, the Eminem, Kendrick, all Game, all this stuff. Ended up the beats and stuff and making $1 billion. So it worked out for him, but he walked away with nothing and started his Aftermath. When Jay-Z was walking away, going and starting Rock Nation and all the other things that he was doing, he walked away in a way better situation than Dame and Biggs. He kind of, you know, he felt like they tried to play him, so he screwed them. Because in his eyes, he was like, all I wanted was reason without you. I can have the rest of the shit. You know what I'm saying? Since they tried to play him, he got, you know, I guess he felt a certain kind of way. He found a way to maneuver and serve them cats real nice. You know what I'm saying? And now, you know, correct Biggs is still cool with Jay. He always say that they talk. They have a relationship. I think he's been to a couple of the Rock Nation brunches. Of course, Dame ain't been at neither one of them because he's not invited. But I think that Jay became a shrewd businessman and learned how to create his own destiny by himself. And yeah, at the end of the day, it worked out for him, man. But you know, when Roc-a-Fella started falling, it's unfortunate because you had the whole state properties where I feel like they could have even been larger. You had the Dipset situation. I think at one point Roc-a-Fella, they dropped the ball on this R&B group called Christian, you know what I'm saying, who was very, very dope. They had the look, the sound, everything, man. They had this album, they had this song called Up in Smoke. Anyone listening, YouTube Christian, Up in Smoke, and then listen to the rest of their album, Ghetto Cyrano or something like that. Trust me, man, they were amazing, but Roc-a-Fella didn't know what to do with them. But that was also the case for other artists as well and a few other people too. But it's unfortunate because a lot of people disappeared into the music graveyard because Roc-a-Fella ended up disbanding.
Yeah, and they were also, you know, trying to even grow from there because, you know, like we mentioned in other podcasts, you had the Big L signing and you had the Old Dirty Bastard signing. And, you know, those were two projects where we like, okay, it's one thing when, you know, Roc-a-Fella signing artists we never heard of. Now we're talking about established artists with this production team and this machine behind it.
Oh my God, man.
What are we going to get? You know what I'm saying? What are we going to get? Unfortunately, the crazy and sad part about it is Big L and ODB died with those deals like in limbo, basically.
On the table, basically. I mean, Jay-Z said, and you guys can YouTube Jay-Z speaking on Big L, the deal was basically done.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like Big L was gonna be on Roc-a-Fella. Jay-Z was a big fan. They knew each other. They, you know, Jay and L used to run a little bit in 94, 95 together, and he reached back out to him in 98, man, which I actually, you know, I know we talked about this before, and I'll be brief. I just think that's so dope of Jay-Z to be like, you know what, man, you know, L in a situation where I get to bring in a Roc-a-Fella. You know what I'm saying? Now at this point, he's out of his deals. We can bring him here. You know what I'm saying? You can definitely tell in some of now at 95 freestyle that, you know, that Jay-Z was influenced on by L too. You know what I'm saying? So, which is cool, you know, and he said in the interview, you guys can listen to it, he felt like L was going to become a big star of Roc-a-Fella. You know what I'm saying? And ODB was an energetic fireball, and you know, I think he would have been dope there, and he just had the flavor. He could have done so much in Roc-a-Fella as well if you can control him. You know, RIP to ODB and Big L, man. But yeah, man, Roc-a-Fella, man, you know, 24 years in, though, you know what I'm saying? Can we really say, I mean, it was definitely a success. They're legendary in the hip-hop game, and, you know, yeah, they broke up, man, but if you really think about it, how many other groups lasted, even though they was on the outskirts probably the last couple of years on paper, 24 years in hip-hop is forever because hip-hop is basically less than 50 years old.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's kind of a it's kind of a trend in hip hop, not necessarily positive all the way through, but nevertheless, it was a trend. You know, labels get hot and then, you know, they fizzle, or like they still exist, but you don't know because they don't have the same presence. Like some people don't even realize Bad Boy Records still exists. You know what I'm saying? And there's still hits coming out of it. You just don't know that certain artists are on the label.
Yeah.
Janelle Monáe, I did not know she was on Bad Boy, and
Right.
she's had hits recently. So you know, it's one of those things where unfortunately the profile of these labels usually go down because of the shenanigans that happen. You know, once
Yeah.
starts to blow up, more money starts to come in, and you get people mismanaging the business and mismanaging the money, and then everybody just want to go their separate ways, or something else happens, and it just turns into trash like Death Row Records and everything else beyond that.
Yeah.
But you know, Roc-a-Fella, like Tone said, man, Roc-a-Fella Records, man, when it was on, man, it was on.
Yeah.
It was like, if you were a fan, it was like the music was unlimited because it was it was freestyles, it was albums, it was singles, it was videos, it was clothing lines, it was alcohol, it was films. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was that time in hip hop, basically.
Absolutely.
How y'all feel about Roc-a-Fella Records, their legacy? What do you, I mean, is there something about their breakup that we didn't mention, or maybe we got it twisted or whatever? Leave your comments in the comment section below, man. We love to hear what y'all got to say about this. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just one of those topics that, you know, you don't necessarily hear about a lot unless you're talking to the dudes who were involved. But now we get into the part of the show where we recommend some music you should go back and listen to. And this recommendation on this particular episode, since we're recording this in March, which is Women's History Month, and we got some hip hop from the ladies for y'all. My recommendation for this month, or this week, or whatever, or this show, whatever, is Queen Latifah's Black Rain, which came out in 1993. Now, I was a fan of Queen Latifah. Can't say that I was a fan to the point where I was buying albums when they would come out, but I remember because like this was like a peak for Queen Latifah. You know what I'm saying? She was on television with Living Single. She was like, if Will Smith was a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Queen Latifah was like his opposite. She was the female that was kind of rising. She had movies, she had television show, she was hot. And she released an album that was surprisingly very lyrical and hardcore. And we know she had ghostwriters and stuff like that, like Tretch and Apache and all that good stuff. But nevertheless, this is definitely one of her dopest albums. I mean, songs like Black Hand Side, Rough, which features like cats like KRS-One is on there, Tretch is on there. Bring the Flavor was another dope track. Superstar. Just Another Day, which got a video.
Yes. Yeah.
And UNITY, we know that song. I liked the joint Weekend Love, where she's singing. Got the joint. Just an album that I just did not expect to just be this thorough from Queen Latifah at this stage in her career, because back then, around 93, you know, you start doing movies and television as a rapper, we start thinking, well, you don't rap anymore, really, or some of that credibility goes out the window, or maybe we feel like you lost something because you started doing this other stuff. But nah, man, Queen Latifah was crazy on here. And also one other thing, what kind of was behind the theme of this album, she also had a song on here called Winky's Theme. Her brother was killed in a motorcycle accident.
Yeah, no doubt.
Around this time, and she wore like key to his motorcycle around her neck. So it was just a lot of energy behind this album, and I think people forget about it. You know, and like literally forget about it. You might hear the old school mix, and you hear, you know, UNITY on. You're like, oh, I remember that joint was hot. But there was way more dope stuff on this album than just that. So definitely that's one y'all should go check out. Tone, what's your recommendation for this week?
Well, first, real quick, man, that Queen Latifah joint is hot, man. You know what I'm saying? It's a very dope album. The production was dope, man. And I'm gonna tell you, Just Another Day used to be a mad run from me. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I thought it was just an amazing project. One of her top two or three albums to me of her career. Maybe her best album. I don't know. It's debatable, but it's definitely in the top tier of her career with the production, the lyrics, the focus, the subject matter. She gave you a little bit of everything on that album. Like you said, even with the singing part, Latifah can sing. She ended up winning like a Grammy, I believe, for a jazz joint just 10 years ago. You know what I'm saying? So, then she was in that joint Chicago, I believe, that movie. You know what I'm saying? So Latifah has definitely done her thing, man. My recommendation is from my favorite female MC of all time, one of my favorite MCs of all time, 1998 classic debut, MC Light as a Rock. You know what I'm saying? MC Light is the pinnacle for me of female hip hop, but at the same time, I don't want to be chauvinistic. So she's one of the dopest MCs. Dope voice, dope flow, subject matter from the Port Georges, the Eyes of the Soul, etc. But anyway, Light as a Rock is a debut that came in '88 when Rakim and Kane and KRS and G-Rap and all of these heavyweight guys were doing their thing. She didn't back off. I mean, if you think about the track she had, first of all, Paper Thin is a classic to this day. But then she was battling. She had 10% diss on there. She had Kick This One for Brooklyn on there. You know what I'm saying? The title track, Light as a Rock. I mean, MC Light is an MC for real. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not a game. It's not a gimmick. It's none of that. She rhymed. You know what I'm saying? And she was well respected by the gods of hip hop. That's why she had a verse on Self-Destruction. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, she was respected, man. And it started with Light as a Rock, man. And I'm going to tell you, she can hang in there with anybody who rap, man. You know what I'm saying? Her subject matter and just the way, even to this day, I saw her live perform. Flow still dope, voice still dope, of course. She just so hip hop, man. And it started with this debut, man. It's just a beautiful album. It's a classic to me. You know what I'm saying? And she will always, for me, be on the Mount Rushmore of female hip hop, as far as like she is the pinnacle of that. And you can also argue her being top 20, top 25 in the history of the culture. I wouldn't even be mad if she was higher than that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man. Shout out to MC Light. Shout out to Queen Latifah, man. Do you remember that Light as a Rock, dog?
Yeah, man. How could I forget, man? She's one of those MCs, man. The first time I saw, a video of her, man, I was just captivated. You know what I'm saying? In the same ways I felt about seeing Big Daddy Kane for the first time, or seeing, Rakim for the first time. You just know, like, yo, this person is confident. You know what I'm saying? Their rhymes is dope. The beat is dope. Like, it was really no denying her. And I think at that stage, like when it came to me personally at that age with rappers, obviously it was dominated by males. And I liked Queen Latifah, but Light was more my speed. You know what I'm saying? Because it was just something about MC Light that was just like, man, she better than some dudes. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And Light as a Rock is just one of those where, she just proved it. And this is her debut. Like Tone said, this is her debut in 1988 with Slick Rick and all these other dudes just dropping heat in a year with a bunch of heats dropping. And, this is her first time out. It just goes to show how the level of competition, the bar was high. And doesn't mean that people were listening to each other's album and then dropping theirs. They was already making the heat. So it was just natural the way it was being dropped, man. But definitely, y'all, go check out Queen Latifah's Black Rain, MC Light's Light as a Rock, man. Go give them some spins. You know what I'm saying? Go buy it or whatever. If you a hip hop fan, a collector, they definitely deserve to be in your collection. And leave your comments in the comment section below, man. Tell us some of the songs you like off of both of those albums. That's going to do it for us for this week on That Time in Hip Hop. We hope you appreciate and enjoy what we put here. If you do, hit that like button. If you love it, hit that subscribe button. If you like, yo, somebody need to know, share it with people you know enjoy this kind of content. Check out my podcast also when you get a chance to, because this podcast is available on iTunes, also in audio form, SoundCloud, Stitcher Radio, and all of that. But my podcast is Hip Hop Now Podcast. All you got to do is search for that wherever you listen to podcasts, and you will find Hip Hop Now Podcast and That Time in Hip Hop. Also, if you feel like checking out some articles about some of your favorite hip hop artists, some soul singers, different articles that you could really grow from, go to intothedome.com. Check out what Tone has there, man. It's a lot of dope hip hop. It's a lot of stuff you can apply to your life, to your craft, whatever it may be. Until next time, y'all, go out and support real hip hop. Peace.
Peace.
Drop it on the random.